Geoff, it's happened again. Get your backside out of bed now and come downstairs. Geoff and his wife were giants and lived in a castle which felt just big enough for the two of them. Now, mostly giants live in houses like you and I do, only much, much bigger. Might surprise you to also know that giants don't live in castles, but Geoff did live in a castle. He had lived there all his life because his dad had been a famous actor and bought it before Geoff was born. Geoff wasn't famous, though he would have loved to have been. He worked in an office and, well, he counted things. Sometimes he grew things as well in the castle vegetable garden, like tomatoes and potatoes, which he made into soup. Now, the castle Geoff and his wife lived in was on the edge of Giant Town. It overlooked the countryside, if you could call it countryside. You see, giants live in the sky, above the clouds. The ground that giants look out on, called countryside, is white and fluffy. Most days in the land where the giants live, it is warm and sunny, even in the winter. At night, there is always a beautiful moon. So you see, the land of the giants is on top of the roof of the clouds that we little people on the ground only see from underneath. They look down on the tops of the clouds when we look up at the bottoms. It's kind of topsy-turvy, upside-downy, fluffy, white wibbliness, not wobbliness. Wobbliness is jelly, of course. But you can get jelly that is castle-shaped. But giants don't live in jelly castles on account of their size. Jelly is too small, giants are too big. Right now, though, nothing was peaceful and quiet in the castle. Geoff's wife was screaming his name, which interrupted his amazing dream of being, well, the famous actor. He opened his eyes halfway and harumphed. Geoff didn't like mornings. It was always so hard to wake up. He swung his huge feet over the side of the bed and dragged on his bunny rabbit slippers. His slippers, of course, were giant-sized, each about the size of a bed. Geoff pounded down the stone stairs in his stripy white and blue pyjamas. He managed to miss the mousetrap, which was big enough to catch a large dog in, but in so doing, he stubbed his toe rather painfully. He half stumbled, half limped into the kitchen in time to see his wife collapse, bursting into tears onto one of the giant-sized kitchen chairs. "What's happened, my wife?" asked Geoff. Now, just between us, he nearly always called her my wife, and she usually called Geoff by his name, but sometimes found herself calling him my husband. She gave him a look of fear, anger, and frustration, all rolled into one, like someone who has perhaps eaten a cream cake, only to discover a chilli and sprout flavoured worm in it. "The same as happened last time," she shouted. "The same as happened the time before that, and has been happening for the last 3 months. There's food disappearing and there are tiny footprints in the butter." Geoff patted his wife's arm. They had thought for quite a while that they were being troubled by mice. They would hear tiny scuttling in their bedroom at night. Sometimes pieces had been nibbled out of the bread and the cheese. And they'd called in the pest control people to deal with the problem, who had put down all the traps around the castle. But the only thing that the traps had caught was Geoff's big toe, the one he stubbed running downstairs just now. The same toe which was now turning a lovely purple and blue colour. Geoff wasn't graceful, and his body didn't always go where he expected it to. Often things would get broken when Geoff was around, or he would get broken himself. He once cut himself doing the vacuuming. Another time he broke his arm stirring hot chocolate, though he wasn't quite sure how that happened. He wished he was less clumsy, but his wife would often remind him he had lots of other wonderful qualities that other giants didn't have. For example, he had a great imagination. Though, to be honest, Geoff didn't think it was all that great. His boss at work was always telling him he was daydreaming when he should be counting. He was also brilliant at inventing things. The castle was full of his ideas and contraptions. He loved gadgets and gimmicks, even those which he hadn't made himself. But the contraptions Geoff didn't like were these mouse traps, because they only seemed to catch, well, him, and mostly his toe, and not the mice. Then last week, things got worse. It wasn't only food scraps that were going missing.
Hello, Richmond Hill Year 2. It is really great to be here with you. I can't say see you because I can't see you. You can see me though, and yes, hello. Right, anyway, I'm Andy Gray. I am the person who wrote and drew that book which you have been looking at, A Giant Disaster. And do you know what? I was absolutely thrilled when your school teacher said to me, would it be okay for you to all read my book? It is an absolute honour and a privilege and amazing. Sorry I can't be there in person. I would very much like to be, and I often go around schools and go and have fun with schools, but I can't at the moment because of, well, what's happening in the world at the moment. So I hope that you're all okay and that you're keeping safe. There are a few letters which you have wonderfully written to me, asking me some questions, which I am really looking forward to answering as best I can. So, here we go. First question is this. What does the S stand for in your name? Oh, what does the S stand for? Well, it actually stands for, and it is no secret, it stands for Stuart. And the reason why I've actually put the S in my name is because there are an awful lot of Andy Grays in the world. When my mum and dad chose my name, they thought it was really unusual. And as I've got older, more and more people seem to be named Andy Gray. Therefore, I added the S, which makes it a lot easier to find me on the internet. Next question. What other books have you written? What other books have I written? Well, actually, it's been more stories, and I've done them for different companies and people I've worked with. So of my own books, I've only actually got the one at the moment, A Giant Disaster, which I've written and illustrated myself. Although there are lots of different things all over the place, that's the main one back there that I have written. But I've illustrated for lots of other people, and you can see the little range here. There we are. So we've got, I'll get them, then you can see them. Hang on a sec. Right, so these are all the books that I've illustrated in the last recent times. I've got an awful lot of books I'm illustrating at the moment. But we've got here, we have The Animals of Spencerfold, so you can find that on Amazon if you want to read it. Got Spike and Izzy and the Forgotten Treasure. That one is that one you probably can't find, and you won't be able to find this one either, which is Spike and Izzy and the Community Fair. Actually, you might be able to find that. I can't quite remember. You know that one, of course, because you've read that one. This is A Christmas Story, which I illustrated with Alison Baxter. So she told the story, and I drew the illustrations. And this is called Lost Property. And then finally, this is called The Very Rude Tortoise, which is, yeah, it's quite fun. I quite enjoyed doing that one. It's got lots of cartoony things in it. So yeah, so I do mainly illustrations, but I do have a book which I'm writing at the moment. The thing is that every time I start writing a book, I suddenly get really, really busy with lots of other people saying, Andy, will you please illustrate my book for me? So it's like, oh, and there's just not enough hours in the day. Maybe, hopefully by the end of the year, I will have another book that I've written and will be out there. We shall have to see. Next question. Do any of your other books link with other stories? Well, it's interesting that you should ask that, because actually when I write stories, when I tell stories and I illustrate them, they tend to be from the Bible. Now, you're not going to believe this, but you know when you've seen a vicar with a dog collar, a little bit of white there? You won't believe this. I'm actually a vicar. Yeah, I really am. I'm a genuine vicar, and I do things in church, and I've worked for the church for many, many years, as well as being a writer and illustrator and all sorts of other things, and a magician and a DJ. I just do so many things because I can't sit still. I get bored. Bored, yes, do something else. That's what I do. So I tend to tell Bible stories. I do an awful lot of Bible stories. So do any of my other stories link with other stories? Yes, they do. It's a Bible stories, and I tell them in different ways and really creative ways and fun ways, as you can imagine I probably would. So that's where I've got my storytelling experience from. 30 odd years of telling stories to children, usually adapting them or whatever. So You won't find any news stories out there which are linked to anything else, but maybe I should write some. I've had some people saying, please write them, and so maybe I should. Do you have a website? Yes, I do have a website. Suppose you want to know what it is now. Okay, we'll put it on screen like this. There we go. So now you've seen my website, so you'll be able to go and find it and see what's on there. Next question is, what is your favorite book? Oh, my favorite book. Oh, there are so many books which I absolutely love. I hadn't even thought of this one. What is my favorite book? Apart from the Bible, I do like the Bible. I read that book more than anything else. What is my favorite book? There was a series. If I'm going to be honest, I've probably got 2 favorite books. Yeah, apart from that, they're my 2 favorite books. So one book is a little bit old for you, but it's called the Otherland series by Tad Williams, and really, really big thick. It's 3 books, and they're that thick, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that was pretty cool. But the other book which I read, which you might be only slightly too young for, but I think you'd still manage it, is a book called The Hobbit by Tolkien. And it was the book that started me reading huge amounts. It was a teacher, my teacher called Mr. Gold, and Mr. Gold, when I was about your age, he read it in our class. And I was so hooked, I went and bought it. And I've read The Hobbit so many times, over and over again. Brilliant, brilliant story. Completely different from the film as well. Great book. Love it. What songs have you written? I've written songs that you've probably never even heard of. There's one which you can get, which is on iTunes and places like that. And it's called My God Is So Big. It's not My God Is So Big, So Strong and So Mighty, if you've ever heard that one. No, it's called My God Is So Big. And it's got little brackets and it says, I'm so small. All right. So my God is so big, but I'm so small. And that's one of the ones which you can more easily get hold of. And that did quite well on iTunes and other places like that. Apart from that, you won't have heard any other songs which I've written, I'm afraid, because I tend to release them privately or just play them for my own amusement or other people, usually sort of like churches and things like that. What is it like being a magician? What is it like being a magician? Well, it's like being you, really. I think what I really like is I love to tell stories around my magic. I like to show people things which make them look and go, ooh, that was good, wasn't it? How'd you do that? And amuse people. So we're going to do this. This is one for you to do at home. So we're going to try this. I need to make sure I get in the camera angle so you can see it. There we go. Right. Just hang on. Reach over the microphone. So yes, I can just about do that like that. Right, okay, so are you ready? I want you to do this at home. Right, so take your right hand, wiggle your fingers, place your right hand out in front of you. I'll have to do it about there, which is tricky. I won't get my hand in front of my face then, it'd be weird. And the camera's on autofocus. Right, so take your right hand and put it out in front of you. Take your left hand, put that out in front of you. Take your left hand and put it over your right hand. And then rotate your hands around and put your palms together like that. Make it nice and tight. Okay, nice and tight, and don't let go of your hands. Imagine there's glue or something between them. Now, most people, when I show them how to do this, what they do is they make their hands going completely the wrong way. Okay, so most people make their hands go that way. No good at all. You have to make sure your hands go around that way so you can clasp them really tight. Right, so clasp your hand tight like that. Imagine there's glue between your fingers. Has everybody got that? Don't unclasp your hands. Keep your hands nice and tight. Ready? And all you got to do is just unrotate your hands like that. Okay. That was dead easy, wasn't it? Isn't that great? See, look at that. Yes, anyway, there we go. That's one of the tricks that I do. And I love doing tricks and doing magic and confusing people, which is great. I like doing this one, where you can actually take your thumb off. Look, there, so you can take your thumb off. Ha, isn't that great? So you can take your thumb off like that. You do all sorts of things. So go, wee. Anyway, that's beside the point. Oh, by the way, try and lick your own elbow. Really difficult. Just saying. Have you ever been to Glastonbury Festival? Well, it's funny you should say that, because Glastonbury is it's literally about 20 minutes from where I live. Do you know what? No, I haven't ever been to Glastonbury Festival is the answer. Would I like to go? Yeah, I think I'd quite like to give it a go and have a look. Got some friends who really love going. What music do you like? What music? Okay, my favorite sort of music is dance music. So, you know, the kind of music goes, that kind of music. I love that music. That's the kind of music that I write. It's kind of music I like playing to. You can see my this is my laptop back here, and just over that side is my my decks. And sometimes I live stream as well, which is why all my this is a real background. It's not fake background like you see sometimes. This is real, and so I will DJ in front of people and live and things, which is just great fun. And so I love dance music. It is my favorite music of all. I think it's great fun. Where did you get the idea for a giant disaster from? Where did I get the idea from? Oh, do you know what? With quite a lot of my stories, I just start writing them. I kind of like get a rough idea. So I think it was one day I just suddenly thought, what if I told the story of Jack and the Beanstalk? I hope you've worked that out by now. It is Jack and the Beanstalk. But I told it from the giant's perspective. And what if the giant wasn't really the bad guy, but Jack was the bad guy? What would that look like? And so I started telling it from then and seeing where the story went. And it went through a couple of different ways of writing it. So it didn't all come out in one go. In fact, I think there was about a couple of years between it. So I started writing it and got the whole thing. And then I thought, well, actually, what kind of things do we need to happen in it? Does it really make a really good story? So I would start by saying, what makes a really good story? And that's what I did first of all. What would make a really good story? And then, okay, well, why would he leave the theatre? And then why would he want to make a goose? And all those kind of things. So that's kind of how you write stories. You start with a very small idea and then put one idea on and think, oh, but how do you get there? I'll put another idea in. How do I get there? Put another idea. How do I get there? Put another idea on. And so it goes on and 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 on. Yes. You can tell I'm mad, can't you? Right. What's the next one? Did you know that chapter 2 is missing from the contents page? It is? Hang on. It is missing from the contents page. Oh, gracious me, my word. I'm going... Oh. Ah. Oh. Good grief. Yes, it is. Well, there we go. Oh, that's a change, aren't I? I can't believe that we missed that in the proofreading. Or maybe we should leave it. Maybe we should leave it there and see if anybody else notices. Yes, fun. Anyway, there we go. Your secret and mine. Don't tell anybody. If you've got a copy with that and I go and change it, it'll be a very special book, all right? And it'll have a little bit of an error on it. That's quite cool. So, yeah, any books with errors on become worth more money, telling you. And I've not changed it yet. Right. Next question. Are you a little bit like Geoff? In what way do we mean? If you mean, is my nose large? Make up your own mind. My sons, particularly the small one who's 14, he tells me that my nose is like a shark fin. Look, look, look. I don't think it's that big personally, but maybe it is. So yeah, and I certainly wear glasses like Geoff does. I don't usually wear them on the end of my nose. And I've certainly got red hair. You can't quite tell in this light, but it's kind of like spiky. So I suppose I could be quite like Geoff. Yes, a lot of people when I drew Geoff, they actually said, do you know what? You look just like him. Is it a self-portrait? So yes. Am I clumsy? I am sometimes, yes. I have been known to drop many things. I have to take my time over things. One of the things I think I am like Geoff, though, if I'm going to be completely honest, is I used to think I was a bit rubbish at an awful lot of things. And then I started to discover what I was really gifted in and what I could really do. And as that's happened, I've just kind of stuck to my guns and done what I felt is the right thing to do. And like you know already, I am a Christian minister in a church. I'm a vicar. And so what I do is I pray a lot and I say, God, please help me to be able to be the person who you created me to be. That's what I believe as a Christian. And it's really helped me so that I am able to, well, be who I am, which is absolutely great. Right, I think that's it in terms of questions. Just looking down here because my notes are down the bottom. Hang on a sec. Let's have a little look. I'm pretty sure that, yes. One of the things I'm really pleased about is that it sounds to me like you all really enjoyed reading the book. And I'm so grateful that that you did. It's just great fun. And I think the other thing is that I'm pleased about is it was great getting the real life letters as well. Really enjoyed that. Anyway, I hope that you will have. I think you're breaking up for the summer term, aren't you? Soon. It's been a bit difficult last few weeks, hasn't it? With all the people around and working from home, and I hope you've been all right. Carry on being brilliant. I'd love to know more about what your stories. Maybe over the summer holidays. I mean, I know you're going to maybe write your own things anyway, but maybe you could just start writing stories. If you like writing stories, if you like drawing. I started drawing when I was very little. I started drawing when I was 4 years old, and I wasn't all that good. And I carried on drawing until I was 8 years old, and I wasn't that good. And I carried on drawing until I was 12 years old, and I still wasn't that good. And I carried on drawing until I was 14 years old, and suddenly I could draw. I know this sounds crazy, but it's exactly how it happened. And then I carried on drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. So do drawings. Do lots of drawings. Never stop drawing. Enjoy yourself drawing. Actually, do stop drawing. Don't draw during your lessons unless you've been told to by your teacher. All right? So, yeah, I have to admit, I only drew when I was supposed to. Okay. So make sure you do that. Be good. Enjoy yourselves. Be really happy. Thank you so much for asking me to video you. Thank you so much for reading my book. And, yeah, brilliant. Take care of yourselves. Okay. Goodbye. I think I'll stop now because my hand will fall off otherwise. It's silly. See, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Excuse me, I just have to take my hand out. It's kind of, it's just, it's kind of being silly. Stop it. No. No. Look, come here.